went on a 5-hour long drive to find our next home in New York City. In this video, I'll share with you some of the apartments we looked at, some of the things we wanted, so what we were looking for in an apartment, the cost, our price range and cost per month, some of the things we didn't want, the paperwork we needed, and some learnings we had along the way. So keep watching till the end to see what apartment that we landed on. We did start our search in Brooklyn. A lot of my childhood friends and people I know live in Brooklyn, so we just thought naturally that's where we're going to look. We started searching Brooklyn. We did end up looking at some apartments in Manhattan as well, but only the ones that were really in our price range. But we, like I said, we started in Brooklyn. We looked at about probably like 13 units. But I didn't end up filming all of them, so this video will have 9 of them. I know, it's a lot. We learned along the way a lot about what to look for and what we wanted as well. That was something that that evolved during the search. So I don't think we'll ever do that again, look at that many apartments, but it was a learning lesson and I'm happy to share that with y'all. When it came to finding apartments in New York City, we used what most people did and advised, which was Street Easy. And I swear, I really did look for a different alternative just because when I was finding my apartments and I couldn't find one, it was getting frustrating. I thought to myself, there must be another source or something, website, whatever, to find an apartment. And I assure you that literally everybody told me, no, Street Easy is the place. So we did end up using Street Easy for pretty much all of our apartments. But I do want to offer this alternative. If you're having problems finding an apartment in New York City, try Lease Break. It could be potentially a great alternative for you to find apartments that where somebody is leaving and is trying to break their lease, and maybe you're only here for a bit, or maybe you want to stay here and continue your search while you're already here. So definitely look at Lease Break as an alternative. We did try that as well, and that's actually how I found one of the apartments, but I will speak about it later on in the video, what happened with that. But yeah, Street Easy was the number one recommended platform to find an apartment, and I would say stay consistent. Look at it every day, sometimes even twice a day, if you're really committed to finding an apartment ASAP, because it does get updated really frequently, and depending on the season, there could be really big competition and demand for apartments, and it can get really competitive. So just check it out, possibly twice a day. And really stay focused on your search. So what we're looking for. Our budget was about $2,500 to $3,000. We were willing to go over $3,000, just slightly, if it was an apartment we really wanted, but we didn't end up having to do that. We wanted an in-unit washer and dryer. That was really important to us. It had to be 1 bedroom. No studios. We did look at a couple studios, but just weren't feeling it, so 1 bedroom. A neighborhood with things to do around. That was something really important to us since we both work from home a lot. Just being able to go outside, walk around, go to coffee shops, that was something that was important to us. We wanted no broker's fee. What we were not looking for, which I decided to include as well, because I see a lot of people are looking for this, so it's something that I just wanted to say that we didn't really care for, which was having a subway nearby. We both love to walk, so we're okay with walking 10 to 15 minutes to a nearby subway, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people, so that's something that we didn't mind having to do, but some people do want to be closer to a subway. And the nice to haves was a lot of lighting, new appliances, and a renovated kitchen and bathroom. So those were nice to haves. You do need to show your proof of income, so that would be in the form of your last 2 to 3 pay stubs and your job's offer letter. Your income must also be greater than 40x rent, the rent that you're looking at, for landlords to feel comfortable that you can pay the rent. But they're very strict on that, so if you apply for places where you don't meet that, it's kind of hard to get accepted. That wasn't the case for us, but just keep that in mind. This is something that we also learned in our apartment search journey, which is that some landlords are very picky and they want your income to have been greater than the monthly rent for the at least last 12 months. So that's something to keep in mind as well. There were some apartments we looked at that were very in demand and very popular, and the landlord was able to be picky about what they wanted because they were in demand, and that was a requirement they had, that they wanted your income to be 40x the monthly rent, and also it be that way for the previous 12 months. They'll also be looking for your your W-2s from your job, your bank statements, tax returns, a copy of your ID and passport, and a completed application form with the non-refundable application fee of $20 per person. And every landlord / company has a different application, so don't worry about that until you're applying. And these are some things that we also came across during our journey that some landlords asked for, so it's good to have it on hand should the landlord ask for it. They are a reference letter from your previous landlord, a copy of your credit history, which for some people that's part of the application, so don't worry about that if that's the case, and proof of your past rent payment. And yeah, if you can have all these ready, that would be great, because you just don't know how in demand an apartment is until you are really applying. So having all that ready to go just makes it that much more easier. And also sometimes the years are very busy and you're competing with other people in the application, so keep that in mind, having everything all ready to go. Now we'll dive in to the apartments that we looked at. So the apartment itself was gorgeous. When you walked in, you just felt the light hit you everywhere. There were huge and tall windows, so the light was just able to come in really easily, and that was just something that I really liked just from initial impression. So the apartment itself was gorgeous. It had a 15-month lease, which made its net effective price at $2,658, and an in-unit and washer and dryer and no broker's fee. It was a one-bedroom apartment with the bedroom at the top floor and the kitchen and common space on the bottom floor. When you walked in, you just felt the light hit you everywhere. There were huge and tall windows, so the light was just able to come in really easily, and that was just something that I really liked just from initial impression. What made us want to see the apartment was the unique floor plan and the fact that we would be the only tenants in this one-unit building. When we walked later into the bathroom, it looked really clean and really neat and nice. Everything looked pretty renovated and new. Although the apartment was relatively new, having only had one tenant before, it seemed like the appliances were not really well taken care of, with some of them having dents and showing wear. More importantly, what we didn't like was that there didn't seem to be much to do around the neighborhood. Since I work mainly from home, I want to live in a vibrant neighborhood with coffee shops and cafes to explore. It was good that we got to explore the neighborhood before viewing the apartment, because it was a major factor in why we didn't end up applying. But having chatted with the broker after the viewing, he was able to show us another apartment that was just listed, so we headed there after. The next apartment had a really similar setup, except that instead of the bedroom being on the top floor, this time the bedroom was on the bottom floor. A brand new apartment, so nothing had been used yet. We would be the first tenants if we were to rent. So the bathroom is very clean, modern finishes, renovated, all of it, all the great things. And then you walk in and the kitchen's in the back and there's a nice patio, and we really just imagined ourselves doing some summer barbecues, sitting outside and reading, and it's just nice to have all modern finishes. It did not have a microwave, which was kind of sad, I guess. We would have liked a microwave, but other than that, it had really everything that we wanted. And then you go into the basement. Sorry. Then you go to the bedroom, which is located in the basement. And it's just like plain, okay? So no bedroom dividers, no walls, no nothing. It's just the whole basement is a bedroom. And then the washer and unit dryer is just was to be set up in the corner of the basement. So it's all that. And immediately I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to buy some wall dividers or something because it's just all there for everyone to see when you walk into the basement. So I didn't really like that. And then also there was this like drainage system next to the room, and I would hope that there would be no issues with that, but you just never know if there's like a lot of rainfall and then all of it's there. So that wasn't quite nice either. Those were really the drawbacks of the apartment. We liked that it was new, brand new in every way. The building was new, all of it. But those are some of the major drawbacks. I didn't like that our bedroom wouldn't have lighting, and that it was just awkwardly located in the basement. And I keep saying basement, but it's like it really was that. So that's why that was also a pass. When you walked in, the light just immediately hits you, and it's because there was no building on the other side of the apartment, so just all the light to come in, which was really nice, gave really cozy, warm feelings. It also had a 1-year lease and the in-unit and washer dryer, which we were looking for, and again, the no broker's fee. The 1-bedroom apartment was in a small building, so it was very cozy and intimate, and you really got to meet your neighbors. The bedroom was a little bit small, but it did have closet space, so I think that could possibly make up for that. And then when you go into the kitchen had just all modern finishes and gold trims, which I really liked. And it was also a nice addition that the refrigerator was just hidden and matched the cabinetry, so you really couldn't see it. This apartment was one of those apartments I could really see myself living in, and as a bonus, we had access to the rooftop. So this apartment was really interesting because I didn't initially go looking for it. I was kind of recommended it by an apartment leasing office that had an available unit. It's also in a place that I'd never heard of in Manhattan. So this apartment was located in Yorkville. And so it was a nice opportunity for me to go check it out, see the neighborhood. It was a studio, so that was something that we weren't really looking for, but I thought, hey, why not? Let me go just take a look at this place. So I walked in, and this was an apartment that I just immediately knew was not it. And you could probably see why. When you walked in, immediately, it's just one big small room because it is a studio. So I just knew that it could not hold everything that we need. Though the apartment didn't have a broker's fee, it didn't include an in-unit washer and dryer, which is something we were definitely looking for. It was the first apartment we did see that had elevators, which was cool, but again, it wasn't really what we were looking for. Not only was the space too small, but the bathroom was too blue and the kitchen was too small. There was no counter space. This was a really quick decision, and I knew for sure that this would not be our space. This apartment had a lot of promise, and I really enjoyed seeing it. I also knew that if we passed, that the next person who sees it would definitely take it because it was a steal. The price was a steal at $2,500 a month, and it was in Bushwick, and it was really closely located to Williamsburg, so I knew this apartment was going to go fast. All the appliances inside were also modern and up to date. Had a nice backsplash in the kitchen, and when you walk in, the sunlight immediately hits. It was a gloomy day, but the sunlight was really nice. The bedroom was big enough. It wasn't too big, but it was big enough. But it was the only place in the apartment that had a closet, so for 2 people, 1 closet would not be enough. The apartment did have the in-unit washer and dryer we were looking for, had no broker's fee, and even had a mirror with a ring light. And because of the great location, we definitely considered this apartment. After having talked to some friends about their experiences apartment searching, they recommended to go ahead and look at Flatbush, so that's what we did. This apartment was really nice. It had all the appliances, everything was new. It even had a dishwasher and a huge fridge. when you walked in, the light just came in right away. So it had a very similar setup as the previous apartments, where the kitchen was at the back and then the living room was at the front and bedrooms were on the side. It had plenty of closet space, and the bathroom was spacious and gorgeous backsplash tile in the bathroom and shower. So really there was just so many things going for this apartment. Really the only drawback, and it's really specific to us, but since we're people who just walk a ton, we're always in search of the newest and latest coffee shop or cafe or restaurant that we want to try and visit. And we do a lot of spontaneous walks where we just go and walk into a place like that. So for that reason, that's why we didn't end up going with the Flatbush apartment. There just wasn't a lot to do around the area. There's a lot of people, a lot of foot traffic. It can get really busy and just not a lot of sidewalk. The location of the Flatbush apartment was also the furthest apartment among the apartments we looked at. That was the furthest from both our offices, which was another reason why it would be kind of a pain point for us. This was upsetting. Previously, I had never heard about a neighborhood in Brooklyn called Windsor Terrace. When I started doing some research and looking at neighborhoods, I really liked the idea of what I was hearing about this neighborhood. And when we did a drive-by, I fell in love. I really loved the charm and just small town vibe of Windsor Terrace in Brooklyn. And it's literally a 5-minute walk from Prospect Park. So I really loved the idea of living there. And when we found an apartment available, which is like impossible sometimes, in Windsor Terrace, we were super excited. We do the viewing, and it has a really good price point, almost to the point where I'm thinking there has to be something here. There's a catch, because Windsor Terrace does not go for this cheap. And sure enough, that's what we found out. Railroad style apartment where long corridor, had a lot of closet space despite not being that big, which was a plus. The room got a lot of nice lighting from the side, had an in-unit washer and dryer, and no broker's fee. There was also loads of closet space, which I hadn't seen in any other apartment. The kitchen was in this nice tucked away part of the apartment, so it was just on its own, and it had this like nice square feeling, and everything was there. It looked small, but you could fit at least 2 people there, and it just had everything. Before we applied for the apartment, I looked online and I ran a quick Google and Reddit search and found that this apartment had negative comments about the brokerage and from people who lived in the building previously. It was upsetting that our search would not end, and we were definitely feeling demoralized. But it was a great lesson learned to always run a quick internet search before applying and signing a contract. Even though high-rise apartments are not my thing, Fatih really wanted to look at a high-rise building because he was really thinking about and considering the amenities. So this apartment did have really nice amenities. They had the pool, the gym, the billiards table, all of it. A locker for packages, all of it, really. And it was really nice. But the apartment was tiny. So we went up to, I forgot what floor it was, just super high. We went up to the floor, and you walk in, and it looks like an IKEA house, like an IKEA stage setup. And everything is just so tiny. You could barely have 2 people fit in. But a really big appeal of this apartment was that all the units in the building were new, and so we would be the first tenants. The unit was originally $3,100 a month, but the lease was 14 months, with the last 2 of the months being free, making the total $2,658 a month. It included a washer and dryer and had no broker's fee. We liked that it was new, had access to building amenities and a private patio, but it was just way too small for 2 people. The lack of space was a big factor in our decision. When I first walked in the apartment, I immediately noticed how much lighting there was. And having lived in an apartment before where we didn't get so much lighting, It was something that was on my nice haves list, but I was just blown away with how much lighting came through and how warm and cozy the apartment felt. Also, when I first walked into the apartment and just saw how everything was laid out and where things were, I could really just sense and feel that I could live here, which I think is a common feeling a lot of people have when they find the apartment that they like. But just even the layout and floor plan of things. The reason we ended up choosing the apartment, um, there were a lot. So, first, that we ended up finding a two-bedroom apartment for the same price as the one bedrooms we were looking at. So that wasn't the reason, but just among many of the reasons. We also really liked the location. I got lucky and I just spent the most time in this area on the search before we ended up moving here. The location had everything we were looking for, including nearby and walkable distant grocery stores. It had cafes and coffee shops that we wanted, a lot of just restaurants and other things that I don't want to mention because it'll give away the location, but were really just nice haves on top. I can imagine myself walking a ton here and just going on my runs. So we really did enjoy and love the location. I just want to say also that to just stay open minded in the process and let yourself kind of feel and see when you start viewing apartments because this apartment that we ended up choosing, I hadn't even seen it online actually. I didn't even realize it existed. So, long story short, I was considering taking over a lease just because I just could not find an apartment that I liked. And so, when I found a person online who lives in the same building um, and they were leaving, I reached out to them and thinking about taking over their lease. And when I went to the office to pick up the keys, they said there's one more unit available in the building. Do you want to go see it? It was different, and they did tell me it was two bedroom. So I said sure, and we went to the building, saw the unit, and I ended up choosing a different unit, not the one that I could have potentially taken the lease over for. So I just want to say all that to say that just stay open-minded and really and ask questions and talk to people and just see what you can do to make the apartment search easier. As you continue your apartment search in New York City, make sure you go back to the beginning of this video and look at all the tips and the things that you need, the paperwork, all of it, because it will be helpful for you in your search. And hopefully the tips I gave along the video as well just give you more insight